bright white reflections and highlights to illustrations will make the design really stand out. You can use white paint or white ink, depending on your preference. There are several white ink pens available that work really well. However, sometimes they all can be a little bit tricky to work with. Hello, my name is Yasmin. Thank you for stopping by. Let me introduce you to the ink pens I tried out and work with. I mainly use ink pens for tracing facet lines and adding small highlights. Let's see how well the Rotring isograph performs. The great thing about ink pens is that you can use them in combination with templates to trace certain parts of the design. This would be impossible with gouache and brushes. Now the facet lines. I use another sheet of paper to protect the exercise sheet. The Rotring works well. It is easy to trace thin and even lines. Unfortunately, the tip can get clogged easily and the ink stops flowing. I created another video showing how to clean and maintain ink pens. You can find the link in the description below. Now the Staeno Professional. It works pretty much like the Rotring. It is refillable and has a 0.25 mm tip. Because of its thin tip, it also clogs easily and needs to be cleaned frequently. But if the tip is clean and the ink can flow, it works beautifully. Recently, after I shot this video, I came across another ink pen that also works very well for me. The Steadtler Magic 0.25 mm. It is similar to the Rotring and Staeno. From my experience, all three pens perform really well and I can recommend any of them. However, as they all have a very thin tip, the ink can stop flowing and it can be difficult to get the pen working again. I realized these pens work better and longer if I do the following. Always make test strokes before you start using the pen on your design. Do not use any pressure when using the pen. The thin tip will scrape off or even damage the paper. It will get even worse if you use it on top of colored pencil. The pigments of the pencil will clog the tip. Always clean it and close the lid after you finished using it, especially if you're not going to use it for several days. If you know that you're not going to use the pen for several days, clean it thoroughly. Give it a proper clean every now and then. You can take these pens apart and use water or ink solvent cleaner to remove any dried ink. Check the ink frequently and replace it. If it looks lumpy, it can be an indication that the ink is expired. If the ink looks like it is divided into two different kinds of liquid, shake it properly. However, if that doesn't work, it is time to get new ink. Let's now have a look at a different kind of ink pen. They work like ballpoint pens and are not refillable. This is the Jelly Roll pen. It has a line thickness of 0.5 mm, a little bit thicker than the refillable pens I showed you before. It seems to work fine, even if the circle I traced is not complete. I can retrace the missing parts. I make some test strokes to check if the ink flows properly. Yes, it works fine. Let me try another gem. This time a cushion. Okay, it is definitely a great alternative. Especially these pens are so much cheaper than the refillable ones. I personally still prefer the refillable pens as they have a thinner tip. But the difference is tiny. From my experience, the Jelly Roll pen does not clog as easily as the refillable pens. However, as you cannot open and clean the Jelly Roll pen, you need to replace it if it stops working. Now the Uniball Signo. It has a tip of 1 mm. The ink flows beautifully. It just glides over the paper. Unfortunately for facet lines, it is a little bit too thick, but I would use it to fill larger areas with white. There are many more white pens on the market and I will keep on trying them. So far, here's my list of favorite white pens. Number 1, the Steadtler Magic and the Staeno Professional 0.25 mm. The pros are they are refillable, have very thin tips, and are reasonably priced for a professional ink pen. Cons, they still clog easily and need frequent cleaning. If you use white pens frequently for your designs, I would really recommend you to get one of these. Okay, my number 2 is the Jelly Roll pen 0.5 mm. The pros are it works really well, it does not clog easily, and no cleaning is necessary. And also, it is very reasonably priced. The cons are it's not refillable and has a slightly thicker tip. I would definitely recommend this for beginners, but it also works for professionals. Number 3 is the Rod Ring Isograph. It works as well as the Steadtler and Staeno, but it is more expensive. And then my number 4 is the Uniball Signo 1 mm. Unfortunately, it is a little bit too thick for facet lines, but I'm going to try a thinner version soon. It is great to fill larger areas with white. I hope this was helpful. I'm planning to try more options and will keep you updated. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.